Yeah, good morning, Eric.
Morning, Mr. K.
Yep, today is reading book. It's the
Mm,
Meat Disease.
mm,
All right, here we go. Foods that have a positive influence on your microbiome. By eating probiotic foods like the ones we've just discussed, you can introduce beneficial bacteria into your body. But even foods that don't contain live and active cultures can influence your microbiome for the better by creating conditions that allow helpful bacteria to thrive. Research has indicated specific foods that can have this effect. But before we dig into these signs, it's important for you to know the general dietary principles that will keep your helpful bacteria happy.
Carrying your microbiome. The guiding principle for taking care of your gut microbiome follow three basic rules of thumb. Eat a, eat a lot of dietary fiber from whole foods. Eat less animal proteins. Eat more fresh, whole foods and less processed foods. I'm going to I'm going to present you with the data that illustrates why these rules are important in your life.
First principle, eat lots of dietary fiber from whole food. Dietary fiber comes from whole plant-based food and is health food for your microbiome. Since the dawn of Homo sapiens 300,000 years ago, fiber was the core human sustenance. Fibrous foods like ancient grains, nuts, legumes, and fruits were foraged and eaten. Animal protein was only rarely consumed. Moreover, the food was handpicked from bacterial-laden soil and vegetation, so what our remote ancestors ate was loaded with not only fiber but also microbes. These dietary patterns containing fiber and bacteria shape the way our bodies evolve for survival. Our bodies are still built for this original pattern for eating, which is still best for our microbiome and our general health. The heavily processed foods of today is a recent development, emerging only in the mid 20th century. This means that the modern dietary pattern of eating industrialized foods has been around for only 0.02% of human existence and is a relatively unfamiliar pattern for our bodies in terms of how they were designed to function nutritionally.
Second principle, eat less animal proteins. Eating meat is hard on your microbiome. After the first agricultural revolution of 10,000 BC, humans moved away from hunting and gathering, which was slow going, to rely on cultivated crops, which could scale up the availability of foods. Still, people ate mostly plant-based foods. Livestock was at that time a local food resource, but by the 18th century, agricultural advances led to improved crop and livestock management, increasing food availability. Both plant-based foods and meat became more plentiful. By the later half of the 20th century, agriculture inverted the model of foods from local to global. Human dietary patterns centered themselves on a high intake of animal proteins and became less focused on plant-based foods, resulting in less consumption of dietary fiber needed by your microbiome. Less fiber leads to an unhealthy ecosystem of gut bacteria and less production of anti-inflammatory short-chain fatty acids. At the same time, more animal protein shifts the bacteria to behave in ways that generate more inflammations in the gut.
Third principle, eat more fresh whole foods and less processed foods. Along with more meat consumption, modern chemistry has made its ways into the food industry. Heavily processed foods contain synthetic food additives, preservatives, preservative, and flavors. Industrialization made food less expensive, more available, shelf stable, and through flavor manipulation and marketing, even more seductively appealing than traditional fresh foods. At the same time, sanitary conditions, food, indus- food, food industry regulation, and public health efforts reduce human exposure to all bacteria in our environment. Pasteuri- Pasteurization and improved sanitation led to less exposure to disease-causing bacteria, but also to health-promoting bacteria as well. Our modern industrialized dietary practices have changed our relationship with our microbiome and our health.
Let's take a look at some of the scientific evidence that supports these rules of thumbs. Researchers from the universities of Florence in Italy conducted a deeply telling study in the late 2000s that illustrates the importance of these principles. Specifically, researchers examined in detail the diet and microbiome of children from two con contrasting cultures. A rural village in Burkina Faso, West Africa, and the city of Florence, Italy. The people of Burkina Faso lived in a rural agrarian society. They eat largely grains, legumes, and vegetable-based low-fat diet. Meat is a rarity. By contrast, people living in Florence eat an, eat an industrialized urban diet. The rural Burkina Faso diet was low in fat and animal protein, while the European diet was higher in both.
The researchers collected and analyzed fecal samples from children in both areas in the morning after their first meal. Not surprisingly, the researchers reported that the children of Burkina Faso consume 1.8 times more dietary fiber than the Florentines. Analysis of Analysis of the fecal microbiome revealed that 90% of the bacteria of both groups of children belong to four major categories or, or phyla of bacteria: Actinobacter, Bacteroides, Firmicutes, and Proteobacteria. In, in the African children, Bacteroides, which breaks down plant-based foods, was 2.5 times more predominant than in the Florentine children.
The researchers examined fecal metals for the production of beneficial short-chain fatty acids, the byproducts of bacterial digestion of plant-based fiber. Recall from Chapter 3, there are three types of useful metabolized SCFAs that are generated by gut bacteria: acetate, butyrate, and probionate. These protect the gut and overall health by decreasing inflammation, improving immunity, inhibiting angiogenesis, aiding stem cells, and improving insulin sensitivity, correlating with their increased intake of dietary fiber. The children from Burkina Faso has threefold higher levels of SCFAs compared to European children. Analysis of the fecal material found that the Burkina Faso children had greater diversities of bacteria in their feces than their European counterparts. Microbe diversity is an important hallmark of health. In a plant-based, low-fat diet is associated with a more diverse, healthier microbiome that can produce higher levels of protective SCFAs.
Modern industrial food consumed in most of the developed world has shifted the human microbiome inexorably towards a less healthy profile. Because the microbiome influences our immune system, the medical community is now seeing alarming connections between the microbiome and rising ailments like food allergies, obesity, diabetes, and other chronic diseases that begin in childhood and plague us as adults. And remember, the study I just described involved Italy, the home of the Mediterranean diet and still considered to be among the healthiest in the modern world. You can imagine the impact of a less healthy Western diet.
Now that you understand the importance of your microbiome of eating a diet high in fiber, low in animal protein, and based primarily on unprocessed whole foods, let's look at some of the specific foods that can have the beneficial effect.
Foods with a beneficial effect on your microbiome. Pumpernickel bread. One bread with microbiomic benefits beyond the actual bacteria itself is pumpernickel bread. Originating in Central and Northern Europe, pumpernickel in its traditional form is made with a sourdough starter and a whole rye flour. Rye is a kind of cereal that contains dietary fiber, polyphenols, and lignans. These bioactives and prebiotics that influence your microbiome as well as your metabolism.
A team of international researchers from universities, Joseph Fourier's University, Grenoble's and universities of Harvard in France, from the universities of Parma in Italy, and from the University of Almería in Spain examines the effects of whole rice consumption on the microbiome. In a lab, the fat-healthy rats show made with either whole or refined rye for 12 weeks and studied the effects on their microbiome. The result found that animals consumption the whole rye has 60% lower level of disulfide rhineases, a bacteria that generates a toxin called hydrogen sulfide, which injures the gut lining. When the gut is damaged in this way, it's easier for food particles to leak out from inside, the intestines, causing inflammatory reaction. This can potentially generate allergic and even autoimmune reaction. This is the phenomenon popularly known as leaking gut. The whole rice of pumpernickel bread has a prebiotic effect that may decrease the population of toxins generating bacteria in your gut, resulting in an overall healthier gut and body.
Kiwi fruit. The fruit we call kiwi has a proper name, kiwi fruit. It's actually a large berry that originated in China, where it was once collected from the wild for medicinal purposes, now found in markets all around the world. Kiwi fruit is excised and has a fuzzy brown skin surrounding intense green flesh dotted with tiny black seeds. The fruit, once called Chinese gooseberry, was brought to New Zealand in 1904, where it was later cultivated. In 1959, the fruit was first exported to the United States and commercially named kiwi fruit, referring to a furry, brown, flightless bird that is the national icon of New Zealand.
Researchers from the National University of Singapore conducted a study to examine the effect of kiwi fruit on the gut microbiome. They fed 6 female volunteers the equivalent of 2 kiwi fruits a day for 4 days, total of 8 fruits, and looked at changes in their fecal microbiome. The differences appear rapidly. They found that the presence of lactobacillus was increased by 35% within 24 hours by eating kiwi. Another bacterium, bifidobacteria, increased gradually by 17% over 4 days in most of the subjects. Both lactobacillus and bifidobacteria are considered beneficial gut bacteria that produce SCFAs, which help lower inflammation. The SCFAs help to maintain the integrity of the gut lining to prevent digested food from leaking out, and they improve glucose and lipid metabolism. Eating kiwi fruits thus has prebiotic effects that shape beneficial gut bacteria and lower inflammation.
Brassica. Brassica is a family of vegetables with a well-established reputation for being helpful. These include broccoli, cauliflower, bok choy, cabbage, kale, rutabaga, turnips, and arugula. As we saw in Chapter 6, these plants contain bioactives with anti-angiogenic benefits. They also modify the microbiome by decreasing the presence of harmful bacteria in your gut.
Researchers from the Institute of Food Research in Norwich, in the United Kingdom, conducted a clinical study of brassica vegetable, broccoli, cauliflower, in 10 healthy adults in their 30s to examine changes in their microbiome over 2 weeks. Subjects were given either 1 cup per day of brassica foods, broccoli, cauliflower, broccoli sweet potato soup, or they ate a diet with only 10% of the brassica wanted of the cup, compared to the other food. Examination of their stool at the end of the study revealed that those eating the high brassica diet lowered the number of toxins producing bacteria by 35%. These toxins hydrogen sulfide damages the gut lining and is found in high level in the stool of patients with inflammatory bowel disease. Like rye bread, brassica vegetables may protect against the development of colitis and gut inflammations by reducing the harmful bacteria that produce hydrogen sulfide.
Bamboo shoots. Many people know that bamboo is the food of pandas, but throughout Asia, the shoots of bamboo plants are a popular vegetarian dish that is extremely high in dietary fiber and bioactives. They are found cooked, canned, and dried in the cuisine of China, Japan, Korea, and throughout Southeast Asia. In Western countries, sliced bamboo is sometimes found as a topping at the salad bar.
A study by the Chinese Academy of Sciences looked at how eating bamboo shoots affects the gut microbiome and obesity. In the lab, researchers fed mice either a low-fat or high-fat diet. They then added bamboo fiber, the equivalent of eating one-third cup of bamboo shoots daily in humans, into their foods for 6 weeks and measured the weight, glucose tolerance, adipose tissue, and microbiome of the mice. The bamboo has a significant impact.
In mice eating a high-fat diet, adding bamboo decreased the amount of weight gain by an impressive 47%. Fat development was reduced by 30 to 50% in their abdomen and pelvis, and under the skin with bamboo. When the researchers looked at the microbiome, the mice eating bamboo shoots had a 45% increase in bacterial diversity in their gut. Remember, more bacterial diversity is better for your health. The microbiome changes were substantial after eating bamboo. There was 300% more Bacteroides, one of the core bacteria important in a healthy gut microbiome. One interesting finding, eating bamboo shoot led to a decline in the family of bacteria to which Akkermansia belongs. Although these findings were in mice, Akkermansia is so important for treatment response in cancer patients receiving immunotherapy, specifically checkpoint inhibitors like atezolizumab, avelumab, durvalumab, nivolumab, and pembrolizumab. It might be wise to avoid bamboo shoots if this is your situation.
An important health tip: fresh raw bamboo shoots harvested from the forest contain a small amount of toxins related to cyanide. Cooking the shoots by boiling for 10 to 15 minutes removes most of the toxins. Don't go foraging in the jungle to find and eat raw bamboo.
Dark chocolate, um, along with its anti-angiogenic and stem cell stimulating benefits, the cacao, the cacao used to make chocolate has positive effects on gut microbiota. A study by researchers from Louisiana State University found that fiber found in cacao feeds healthy gut bacteria such as bifidobacteria and lactobacilli. The bacteria use in the fiber to generate acetate, propionate, butyrate, The useful SCFAs with anti-inflammatory properties that also improve glucose and lipid metabolism.
Remember from chapter 3 that many lifestyle factors beyond food affect the microbiome, including stress. Researchers at the Netherlands Organization for Applied Scientific Research designed a study to test whether eating chocolate could mitigate stress-related effects on the microbiome. They recruited 30 healthy individuals between the ages of 18 and 35 and first established their self-reported stress level using a survey. Their results divided them into high anxiety and low anxiety groups. Researchers tested the blood and urine of both groups for stress markers at the start. Then participants received 40 grams, the equivalent of a medium-sized chocolate bar of a commercially available dark chocolate. More intense, 70% dark, to eat every day for 2 weeks. The researchers monitored the stress markers in both their blood and urine.
When high anxiety subjects ate dark chocolate for 2 weeks, the researchers found that levels of the stress markers, cortisol, and adrenaline decreased in their urine, as well as two markers called precresol and kipurate, which are metabolites of gut bacteria. Chocolate reduced these biomarker levels in high anxiety subjects down to levels seen in the subjects reporting low anxiety. These studies show that for stressed out individuals, eating dark chocolate for only 2 weeks can influence gut bacteria and reduce stress markers in the body.
To study a specific bacteria affected by chocolate consumption, researchers from the universities of Reading in the United Kingdom recruited 22 healthy volunteers in their 30s and gave them a beverage containing either high cacao flavanols or low cacao flavanols for 4 weeks. The high cacao beverage was made from a cacao flavanols enriched powder, cocoa bile. Researchers took blood and fecal samples before and after the 4 weeks and found that the high cacao flavanol drink strikingly improved the ratio of good to harmful bacteria. There was an increase of beneficial lactobacillus by 17.5 times and bifidobacteria 3.6 times. And there was a decrease in harmful Clostridiums histolyticums by 2 times. A bacterial best known for causing gangrene. All of these studies offer evidence that cacao can boost the bacteria while controlling bad bacteria, and it may even help correct disruptions to the microbiome caused by chronic stress.
Walnuts. Walnuts are a good source of omega-3 PUFAs and dietary fiber. Eating walnuts lowers your risk of many conditions, from cardiovascular disease to cancer. Along with other mechanisms, their benefits are linked to the microbiome. Researchers from the University of Munich studied 135 healthy people over the age of 50 and divided them into groups that were fed a walnut-enriched diet, roughly 21 walnut halves per day, or a nut-free diet for 8 weeks. When comparing fecal samples from before and after the study, walnut eaters had significantly increased numbers of beneficial bifidobacteria and firmicutes bacteria, which produce anti-inflammatory SCFAs, butyrate, propionate, acetate. At the same time, eating walnuts decreased the numbers of harmful Clostridium bacteria. Another study from the University of Illinois at Urbana, Champaign corroborated these walnut-led changes. Individuals who were fed a similar number of walnuts per day for 3 weeks had a 60 to 90% increase in beneficial butyrate producing firmicutes bacteria. By eating walnuts, you can make changes that optimize the balance between beneficial and harmful bacteria in your microbiome.
Beans. Beans are good for your gut bacteria because they are high in fiber. A study by the Universities of Guelph in Ontario and Agriculture and Agri-Foods, Canada studied the effect of two kinds of beans, navy beans and black beans, on the gut microbiome. In the lab, they fed mice with either standard chow or chow made with cooked navy beans or black beans for 3 weeks. The amount of beans used was equivalent to a human dose of 1.6 cups of navy beans or 1.2 cups of black beans per day. At the end, comparing the groups, they found the mice who ate beans had a 71-fold increase in a healthy bacteria called Prevotella, which makes the anti-inflammatory SCFAs acetate propionate butyrate. There was also a 2.3-fold increase in another bacteria called Pneumococcus, which breaks down plant cells as another way to create SCFAs.
The researchers also examined the effects of the beans on the protective mucous lining of the intestines, as well as gut barrier function, both of which are linked to gut bacteria. More mucus protects the gut, and a strong gut lining forms a barrier to inflammatory substances that can leak from the gut. The bean eaters had an 81% decrease in harmful bacteria that break down the protective mucus in the gut. When the scientists actually examined the gut of the bean eaters, they found that the protective mucus secreting cells of the upper colon increased by 60% in mice fed navy beans, and by 120% in the mice fed black beans. In the lower colon, mucus cells increased by 57% with black bean chow. These studies showed how both black beans and navy beans can contribute to healthy conditions in the gut. Chickpeas, lentil, and peas are all in the bean family and would be expected to have similar types of benefits.
Mr. K, how about we stop at here?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, share some of your thoughts.
Yep. So yeah, today's part is about microbiome. Yep. And then firstly it talk about like some principles, and then there are three which is like what can make our how to do can make our microbiome kind of like become healthier. And yeah, I think these three it includes like for example, less animal protein, and then more fiber. And the last one is like more whole food, which is less processed food. Yep. I think this is uh, uh, what what I get from this reading session, and the rest of the part talk about some foods that supported these these principles, which is like uh, give our make our microbiome better, yeah, by eating those foods mentioned in this
Mm,
reading session. And some of them are like prebiotic, some of them is rich in fiber. Yeah, I think this is the reading part today.
mm,
And I think yeah, for this one, yeah, maybe uh, I want to ask how's your carnivore diet, because that is like totally the opposite of like
yeah.
fixing with microbiome, right? Because
Mm.
you eat meat and no fruit, no vegetables, so the fiber you can get is actually very, very limited.
No, I
Uh,
think it's zero. Yeah,
zero.
fiber is zero.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Uh,
So how's your body recently?
yeah, it's very good. And I told you before, in the first month, I actually faced some mm, bowel movement
Mm.
problem, bowel movement issue, the
Yep.
constipation. And after the first month, yeah, everything back to normal. And initially, I thought that is because my fats consumption is not that high.
Mm.
And then after I eat more fats, the symptoms actually did reduce.
Mm.
So I get a smoother bowel movement,
Mm.
and the frequency is kind of like uh
How many times per week?
how many times per week is around, I think now for now is around three one times per three uh, average is one times per 3 days.
Oh, yep.
So yeah, so
Two to
average
three
is
times a
around,
week.
yeah, yeah, 2 times per week. And in the past is also in this range.
Mm.
Sometimes 3 times per week, sometimes 2 times per
Mm.
week.
Yeah.
Mm. But in the first month, I experienced like 1 times per week. Mm.
Mm.
And sometimes is up to like 8 or 9 days per week.
Mm.
Yeah. So this is not normal. And I also my food is very hard to eat, hurt my
Mm.
anus.
Yep.
But yeah, but after the first month, everything came back to normal. And and yeah, initially I increased the fat consumption, and yeah, it did help. But now I actually didn't consume that much fat.
Oh.
Yeah. Compared to maybe like 2 weeks ago or three
Mm.
weeks ago. It's
How
not
do
so
you
much.
adjust that?
What do you mean? How do I adjust that? Because
Because
I just put less fat. Yeah.
oh, then how about constipation? Will it affect
No,
your bowel movement?
no, no.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Zero
So it
impact.
means like you kind of like find the optimal amount of fat, right? You can reduce
Mm,
a
I
little.
think I think maybe maybe this is not the reason. Maybe the reason is my body already fully adjusted or highly adjusted to the diet.
Mm.
Mm.
Yep.
So, for example, my intestines, my small intestines, my big intestines,
Mm.
and maybe my liver fully adjusted to the diet.
Yep.
It can release enough like the ketones, and also my organs, every part of my organ is able to convert the ketones into the highly usable energy.
Mm.
So instead of just relying on the on the glucose.
Yep.
Maybe this is the main reason.
Yeah, and also maybe the microbiome also change, right? Because you change your diet, so
yeah.
maybe it takes time for them to change.
And one thing I learned about the microbiome is actually your microbiome shift very, very fast, very, very rapidly. If you fast for 24 hours, the microbiome will just change very rapidly.
Wow.
Yeah, within 24 hours. And just fast, you don't eat anything. And if you change your diet maybe 24 hours or after 48 hours, maybe half of your microbiome just changed.
Oh,
so I'm not sure the credibility of this information, but this comes from a doctor.
Yeah, it changed, but it also takes time to impact your body, right?
Yeah, and also the doctor say that we still don't know how this will impact your health in long term. Yeah, maybe your microbiome change is actually means that just like human, we will change ourselves to fit the environment. Yeah.
Yep.
So or maybe the changes has some long-term damage to your health. We still don't know. But the microbiome, one thing we can show is the microbiome is not something that's so inflexible. And some microbiome, which is some bacteria, they prefer fiber. Some microbiome, they prefer maybe protein, they prefer fat, or they prefer some others, maybe mineral, maybe vitamins, maybe other, like the amino acids. But because you eat animal foods, you eat protein, you will have like the excess animal acids, and this can feed to the bacteria.
Yep.
We still don't know. We still don't know the long-term impact because we don't have enough data.
Yep. And the data we have right now is only like correlation, right? Which is like they try to see what is the microbiome look like in those people who are considered more healthy. And but it doesn't mean that with this kind of microbiome combination can make somebody healthier.
And yeah, it's one of perspective. Another perspective is maybe another kind of combination of microbiome can also improve your long-term health benefit, or maybe just some certain type of combination of bacteria in your gut will reduce the long-term, will damage your long-term health. But other kind is quite indifferent.
Yep. Yeah.
So maybe, for example, nowadays we learn about the bifidobacteria, the
Lactobacillus.
Yeah, the lactobacillus, and also the butyrate. Maybe this combination is good for your long-term health, or maybe this is just better than having a bad bacteria in your gut. And another combination maybe have the same impact on your long-term health benefits, on your long-term health, which is same as the this combination. We still don't know because we only focus on one direction. We didn't see other direction. We didn't see another perspective.
Yep.
Yeah. Just like one of the point I always say, and you always focus on plant-based food, and then you try and you go into too detail. You try to find which plant-based food is the best, which whole food is the best, but you ignore maybe eating the animal-based food can also achieve the same health benefits.
Yeah, confirmation bias.
We need more study. Yeah.
Yep.
And also just how you make the point, which is the three principle. I totally agree, and this kind of principle is absolutely better than Western diet. I absolutely agree. And But one of the deductive reasoning that the author make here, I think, got some problem, because it's a, how to say, it's a logic, but it's just a correlation, it's just association. This is not the causation. Okay. Recently I actually read, not I read the book. I actually I listened to them audiobook, and I also listened to them podcast. And one of the book is called Sapien, which is written by the Yuval Harari, and also another historic book is also very, very famous. It's called Gun, Germs, and Steel. Have you heard this book before?
No.
Yeah. In translate in Chinese, it's called 枪炮、病菌与钢铁. Yeah, this is also a very, very famous book. And especially in the Guns, Germ, and Steel, this book. Okay, this book is actually study the geographic factors, how geographic factors make one's country so successful, and for example, make the European, or maybe make the Western country so powerful compared to other countries.
Yep.
It's because of the
agriculture.
There are few factors. And it could be like the geographic factors, and also it could be the germ. It also could be the guns, which is the technology, the weapon. And in this book, it actually talked about, for many 100,000 years ago, humans. I forget the range. It's kind of like started from few million years ago to until like 30,000 to 100 300,000 or to 100,000 years ago. Human, not only Homo sapien, we got many type of human. But of course, at the end, we know that only Homo sapien become dominant, and all of us are Homo sapien. Other human types already died, already like they just couldn't exist, just like some other animal. Yeah. And scientists and also many historians, they believe that hunter-gatherer, because this range is very, very long, few million ago until few 100,000 years ago, this range is very, very long. And they believe most of our gene and adaptability is actually haven't changed much compared to the hunter-gatherer era. So what hunter-gatherer era means is actually they didn't fix in one place. They move. And then their main source of the food is animal. And also one of the quote, which I forget, I heard from somewhere, is humans cannot live if you cannot access oxygen, cannot access oxygen, cannot access the air for 3 minutes. I mean, for more than 3 minutes, and human cannot live. So it's kind of like 3 minute oxygen, 3-day water, and 3-month food. Yeah, food can up to 3 months if you have enough water, and also if you have the oxygen. You can
Oh.
like stand for around 3 months.
Okay.
And why? Because we can store the fat in our body, and the fat can convert into the energy. So this is what the keto diet. This is also what the carnivore diet, which is the ketosis. We convert the ketones into the fuel and feed our body. And historians believe, because this period is so long, and our gene is not really able to change very rapidly. It maybe take a few hundred years, maybe take a few 100,000 years, maybe take a 1 million years. We don't know.
Yeah.
To change. Yeah. And started from maybe 300,000 years ago and 100,000 years ago, some of the humans, they fix in one location. And this is very, very crucial for human civilization. Because only you can fix in one location, and you can build something. You don't need to always travel, and you can have the high level division label specialization.
Yeah.
Some people plant the food, some people do some other things, some people do the innovation, some people create a business, some people create a trade, some people they dedicate their life into the chemistry, they dedicate their life into the physics, and all of these things, or technology, all of these things boost the human civilization.
Yeah.
And this is very, very crucial, very, very crucial to human civilization. Without the agriculture, without agriculture, human cannot fix, and a human are not going to fix their fix themselves into one place. And they figure out how to plant the foods. They figure out how to like make the how to
Keep
do
the
the
animals,
agriculture.
right?
Actually, mainly is about the plant food.
Oh.
Yeah. Mainly is about the plant food, and animal, they kind of like okay, in Chinese term it is like 驯养. So what does it actually mean? Human do something very, very terrible. You know, few 100,000 years ago, animal is very, because all the animals are the wild animal, and they can damage the human, they can hurt the human. And what humans do is they take the baby, maybe a baby of the cattle, baby of some type of animal, and then bring back to the human society, and then try to grow them. And then you can train the wolf into the dog. Yeah. So what's the ancestor of the dog is a wolf. Yeah. So what's the ancestor of the cow, of the cattle? We don't know. Yeah, maybe like maybe some other wild animal. So it kind of like train them and try to like change their gene. Yeah, change their gene. And one generation after one generation and after one generation. And we choose the very weak gene, and we choose the gene favor to humans, which is they don't hurt humans. Yep. And we kind of like artificially modify their gene. And this is also something human do on the plant, right? Yeah. It's kind of like the GOM. Yeah. Few 100,000 years ago, we still don't have rice, but human modified the gene and then successfully did that. Yeah. And also, agriculture is important. And why agriculture is so important? Because it can feed enough people. Unlike the hunter-gatherer era, you can only store the foods into your brother's stomach. Yeah, and then so your brother is getting full, and then next time you have one another partner, you have one another helper to help you take down an elephant, take down an animal. Yeah, very culture is different. And also, if you are in a hunter-gatherer era, you need to keep moving. You cannot plan the foods. Yeah, because agriculture takes time. Yeah, so all of these things is very, very crucial for human civilization. But can you make a claim that because 100,000 years ago, humans start to eat plant, so that eating plant is good for your health? Can you make this kind of claim?
Yeah, I think it's like lack of data to really analyze and compare.
Yeah.
That was too long ago. I think they couldn't really figure out. Yeah.
No, I mean, first you don't know how much changes for your genes. Yeah. And 100,000 years ago, they start to plant the foods, but it's not because they figure out this is a way to improve their longevity. At that time, they don't care about longevity; they care about their survival rate.
Survival.
Right. Yeah. And staying in the same place, and human society comes together, and it can cope with some uncertainty. It increase every human survival. It's good for the survival. But does it mean that? But does it mean that eating the food increase your longevity?
Yeah, not necessary.
Yeah, not necessary, because at that time they have their trade-off.
Yep.
And you don't know how much our gene have changed. You see how our gene now still can process the ketones. After a million years, our genes still keep this function. But which one become dominant? Still, ketone is the best fuel for your body, or become like the blood glucose. The carbohydrate is the main fuel for your body.
Yeah.
Long way to the study is long way to go. A lot of things to study, a lot of things to test, a lot of things to experience, to experiment. Yeah. This is not very easy. So I think the point the author make it on the line 1125, say that Homo sapien 100,000 years ago they start to eat plants, of this thing. I think this is not a good claim. This is
too subjective, right?
Yeah. I also can say 1 million years ago, human is hunter-gatherer, and this is a long period of time. And human at that time, because they need to move, they need to keep moving, and then they couldn't plant the food. And then the best source of food is animal, not the plant. If you eat a plant, you cannot stand for 3 months. You cannot stand for 1 week. You cannot stand for 1 month. Only by eating a lot of animal foods, you can stand with that.
Yeah.
If animal food is bad for us, we won't have human. Homo sapien will not live until now. Because for the so long time, for maybe a 500,000 years, or 700,000 years, before human figure out how to do the agriculture, all the human will already die. We won't have human civilization like right now. So I think from historic perspective, either you say hunter-gatherer, or you say the agriculture, the planner, whether which one is more favored, and you try to make a claim by using this from this perspective, it's not a wise move. I will not make a claim that hunter-gatherer era, because we only can eat the animals, so that animal food is the best. It's of course, of course, it's better than plant food. It's of course better for our longevity. No, I didn't say this. But but the point is, there's a possibility that eating animal food may not create a lot of problem, may not create a lot of disease, like you said, like many other experts said. If animal food make you sick, you cannot catch the animal next time. Yeah, how human can survive?
Yep. Yeah, I think for this one it's really hard to say, because sometimes let's say our genes, in some particular time, of course, they care about survival more than like your optimal health. If you look at like our teeth, yeah, we have the teeth, which is like for 杂食, yeah, for not only carnivore or not only
omnivore. It's called omnivore.
Omnivore. Yeah, our teeth is for that, right? But it doesn't mean that it is like more suitable for us to eat vegetables or to eat meat. Because like I said, sometimes our genes is just want to keep us survive. So that is the kind of like the most important things that they consider. So right now, when we try to know more about health knowledge, health information, we actually aim for like a better body, a healthier body, right? So that is like the different direction. We couldn't just look at this kind of things, and also like how many years ago, how do we eat, and then what is our diet, and then right now our body has like kind of didn't change, and then because the objective is not it's not the same. We want healthier. At that time, the main objective is survival.
Yeah, you are right. Yeah, you exactly hit the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything want to add in?
Yeah, I think that's all for me today. How about you?
Yeah, me too. So talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye, Eric.
Bye-bye.